It's Monday, folks. We are back again for another fun week, another excursion, as to paraphrase Rush, into podcasting excellence here. Podcasting, not broadcasting. That's Rush's realm. Although Rush did, honestly, he did more to promote podcasting, I think, than any other person initially than out there. Oh, sorry, guys. The stupid camera's not adjusting right. There we go. By the way, I put out, I've been working on getting the videos a little slicker and cleaner, and I realized that, man, I'm recording these at a higher frame rate. I was recording them at 720 high definition. So, like I said, I did 4K, and it was just absurd. The file size was outrageous. And so I put it on 720 at 60 frames per second. Honestly, the thing about that, though, is that it seems like it's a little bit big to me. The file size is still pretty large. And so I'm just going to go with 30 and see what that looks like. Just because it takes forever to get those things loaded onto my computer after I get them done with Final Cut. And it's not just Final Cut, there's others as well. Anyway, sorry guys, a little inside baseball stuff there. Man, there's a lot of stuff that came out over this weekend. Wow. It's not quite as crazy. The Sunday shows were useless. I don't know what's going on there. They it was basically Trump sucks, Trump sucks, Trump sucks, and Trump sucks. I mean, there's, a few other things on there that were minor, but nothing that frankly was worthy of much in the way of time. Anyway, and that we'll talk about. So let's go ahead and get right to it here. Let's start with the absolutely ridiculous things going on right now. I told you guys this was not a good idea, and guess what? Trump's getting ripped about it right now. The whole redoing the celebrations of Veterans Day and stuff like that. How, they're going to have Victory in World War I Day. Basically, it's Armistice Day redone. And then they're going to have a World War II one. Well, my thing is why are we celebrating the end of World War II on what in Europe is known as VE Day, Victory in Europe Day? Why not celebrate, if you're going to celebrate the end of World War II, do it on VJ Day, Victory in Japan, because that's when World War II actually ended. The European theater was the first part done, but there was still a whole nother theater in Japan to go. And of course, the liberals were eager to pounce on this once someone figured it out, and they've been complaining and whining and pissing and moaning about it ever since. So, like I said, I don't, there's sometimes, and I know why Trump is doing this. It's another thing that he can put to distract the media and get them going where he wants them, instead of having them focused on covering things that maybe he doesn't want them covering or would rather them not cover. I don't know. But to me, this just kind of seems like an unforced error, I don't quite understand why we would worry about this, frankly. So that, like I said, that one was kind of one of the idiot things, or idiotic things to get creamed about, and it was one of the things the media freaked out about. Now, the other thing the media freaked out about this, and this is Trump having a sense of humor, okay, is he posted an AI-generated picture of him as Pope. Trump did. And I mean, the left melted down, absolutely melted down, had a cow. This guy's ego is out of control. I can't believe he'd do this. Oh my dear God, what is wrong with this man? Just having a freak out about it. Now, does anybody, in all honesty, does anybody think that Trump is serious about this? If you really honestly think that Trump wants to be the Pope, I would invite you to go have your head examined. I really would. Trump has zero interest in being the Pope. Zero. Zip, zero, nada. None. It is not on his agenda. It is not on his list of things to do. He could not care less about that. He does not want to be Pope. Now, does he want a Pope that's not a leftist, lunatic, anti-Christian psychopath like Francis? A psychopath might be a little far, but definitely, not Christian. But he was the Pope. Does he want somebody like that as Pope? No, of course not. Nobody does. Except for the left-wing media. They loved Francis. They thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread because he was doing things that took the Catholic Church apart. So that made him fun in their eyes. But I just, come on, I mean, really, that's what we're, now, again, here's Trump playing the media like a Stradivarius, getting them to do whatever he wants them to do. Yeah. I'm surprised, honestly, that the Marine One interviews or press gaggles haven't come back, where he would interview them in front of Marine One, and the choppers going in the background, super loud. And so they're having to yell questions at him and he's answering. And of course, makes them look like a bunch of idiots and it makes him look, presidential. I'm surprised those haven't come back. Now, granted, you've got Carolyn Levitt and Stephen Miller, who are frankly even more entertaining because they absolutely destroy news media outlets whenever they get a chance, which I love. But I don't know. There's Owning the Libs and then there's what they do. Wow. So, next up, and this is something that you guys have seen this. If you've spent any time on X or, I don't know if it's on the other social media outlets. I really don't. I usually just look at X and, sometimes Facebook, but X, and then I read my news aggregators. But if you spent any time on X, you've probably seen this where they'll have something that Trump is doing and then it'll say, "Is this what you voted for?" Coffee. Trump's, I don't know, Trump's deported a boatload of people. Is this what you voted for? I don't know about you. I'm tired of those stupid things. I really am. Here's one. And I was kind of disappointed by this. It was from Jack Posobiec, okay, on X. The White House is now posting that DEI stands for Deport Every Illegal. Is this what you voted for? Jack, first of all, what the hell? Literally it's everything. Everything. Is this what you voted for? Dude, if you, and this goes to everybody that's doing this, if you voted for Trump, you voted for Trump. You knew what he was going to do. You know what he's going to do. If you didn't, you didn't. You don't support it. Trump was actually asked about this, and I can't remember. It was, I think, was it CBS or NBC? I can't remember. NBC, I think it was. I think. Anyway, Trump was asked, well, your supporters are, you're doing things, and there's people that are wondering what's going on, and that this isn't what they voted for. And Trump goes, yeah, they did. They know exactly what I ran on, and they voted for it. So yes, this is what they voted for. Pretty simple, right? Now, if Trump came out and said, you know what, we're going to ban all assault rifle or assault weapons, and we're going to make it so that there's going to be massive reparations to people who've never been slaves before. He wouldn't say that, of course, but and we're going to just open the borders because, everybody should be an American. Now, if he did that, yeah, then there'd be some, hey, that is not what I voted for. You were voted to do the exact opposite of that. But this stuff, this is things that, yeah, Trump's been transparent about. This is what he does. This is what he was going to do. We all knew this. So yes, we did vote for it. It just drives me nuts. It'd be once, the first couple times I saw it, I was like, that's interesting. But then now it's just a viral, stupid thing that everybody's doing. And it drives me nuts. It's one of those dumb things where it's to me, this is right in the neighborhood of these stupid challenge things that you get that the kids like, what they had a Tide Pod one several years ago, which was dumb as hell. They have snorting condoms, right? This is in that league to me. This is right there. It's stupid, absolutely stupid. And yet people do it. It's a waste of time. Honestly, it really is. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're doing it, but I wish they would stop, frankly. Let's see here. While we're talking about dumb things or dumb people, oh gosh, where was this? So speaking of dumb people, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start this this week's segment of
Stupid Libs.
That's right. Stupid Libs for this week. Now, we're going to start off with one of the stupidest people in professional sports. Just a second here. And that is Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich, for those of you who don't know, is a coach in the National Basketball Association, the NBA, for the Spurs, I believe it was, San Antonio Spurs. And he's supposedly the winningest coach in NBA history. Well, it's easy to do when you have a great team, right? Popovich, for those of you who don't know, is a complete liberal jackass. And I'm saying that as nicely as I possibly could. And he's retiring or quitting, I guess, stepping down. Now he's 76 years old. So I guess this isn't a surprise. I mean, you can only go for so long, but the thing is he's also had every single mRNA injection, supposedly, that you could possibly take. And he absolutely despises Donald Trump. I mean, he has gone out and been completely insane in his anti-Trumpism. Now, given that this is in Texas, that kind of cracks me up a little bit. Now, you're in San Antonio, a little bit more liberal area. But again, I am one of these people who thinks, hey, if you're a NBA coach, maybe you ought to just shut your mouth, because guess who comes to your games? Conservatives, liberals, independents, libertarians, greenies, all kinds of different people. People from every walk of life, gay, straight, whatever else, right? Doesn't matter. Everybody likes sports, to one degree or another. And so I've always been very, very annoyed that Popovich made such a big deal of this. And again, it affects the players too, because it makes me wonder what the locker room's like. The Spurs haven't been as dominant as they were back when he started, because he wasn't a complete, or at least he didn't seem to be the complete jackass that he is now when he started. So it makes me wonder, okay, do people actually want to play for this guy now? Or is he just, or are they going away from the Spurs because they don't want to have to deal with that? I mean, is it in the locker room? If you come in the locker room and let's say you're out, partying one night, right? And someone has something and you say something and, nothing outrageously, political, but it comes, it's very obvious who you support based on that. And I can just imagine walking into practice, if you're a player, that's what I'm saying, is if you're a player for the Spurs, and walking into practice, it's nothing controversial. It's just like, hey, I defend people's rights I think everybody should be able to keep and bear arms. Again, nothing controversial about that, but it's probably obvious that you are more right-leaning, at least on that issue. So I could see someone coming into practice having said that, let's say they said it on a Saturday, coming into practice on a Monday or whenever, and Popovich pulling him aside and just having a cow on him, just beating him up about it. And if that's the case, I wouldn't want to work for that man. I wouldn't want to play for him. Hell no. Same way that I'd be like, hey, Skip, so you got on my case, but this guy just went out and said that he thinks Trump's a lunatic, and so did you. How are you not holding yourself to the same standard? Just saying. So I guess my thing is this. I hope that he is well. I hope that he, continues to stay healthy. I will not be sad to see him gone at all. And frankly, I think the San Antonio Spurs will be a better team because of that. Because if they can get somebody in there who is a proven winner, who can go in and, keep going, I think the locker room will be much healthier with someone who is not overtly political like this clown. So my opinion, of course, but that's my thought on that matter. And again, it is what it is. Like I said, I have almost no use for Greg Popovich whatsoever, but that's me. And to be truthful, I haven't followed the NBA in years. Really couldn't tell you outside of LeBron James, and maybe a handful of others who's playing right now. Don't really care, honestly. But again, we'll see. All right. Let's go to, let's see if we can find some more stupid libs. Here we go. So this is another stupid lib, and this is fake conservative Ana Navarro. Now, Ana Navarro is on CNN. She is the token conservative, and I'm using air quotes there, that is on a lot of these CNN panels. Ana Navarro is nowhere near conservative, not even close. And she's as anti-Trump as you can become. So there was a gentleman named Shermichael Singleton on there who is a conservative. So, let me put it this way, far more conservative than Anna. And this was, Town Hall kind of boosted this up, but let's go ahead and listen to this and see what it sounds like when Anna tries to compare illegal immigrants to slaves.
No, I know you're not. If you come to this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as that. We do not have unlimited resources.
I think a lot of Americans
to take care of other people.
There's a hell of a lot of people other than the black people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said. I said there is a lot of people
There's a big difference. There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said.
There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said, Sir Michael. Look and act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
It's not about acting indignant.
Let me just share Michael.
That's other than the black
Anna and share Michael, please.
There are a lot of people from many countries
I think you actually misheard what she. I think you misheard what she said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
I purposely
yes, she did.
So now you're in my
Share
brain.
Michael, listen to me for just a second.
Is that where we're going?
You think I would say I will have advocated for black people my entire life and say something like that?
Anna,
because you've advocated for black people, great. Congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black. You're not.
Okay, Share Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino, and my people are being racially profiled.
It is.
And
do I have to remind you the history of my people?
Share
Michael.
Do
you want to go there?
No, I don't.
Do you really want to go there?
Raul, we're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, hang tight. We'll be right back.
When I was studying history, like
so, God forbid CNN actually let a debate go on, right? So that was fun. Ana Navarro's talking to. She's trying to be all self-righteous. Well, my people are being racially profiled. No, Anna, they're not. Okay. Let me. Shermichael brings up a great point. They were brought his, and I hate it when they say my people. Okay. Let me put it to you this way. I don't know Shermichael's history, genetic or otherwise. I have no way of knowing whether his ancestors were actually brought over here as slaves. I don't. Maybe they were in a free state. I don't know. Maybe they came over after slavery had ended. I have no idea. But I hate it when they say my people, because that automatically is meant to connect a person to, in this case, slavery. But whatever. I mean, it's a pet peeve of mine. Let's put it that way. It's nothing that I'm going to hold against him. I just don't personally care for it because, like, I could say, well, my people were enslaved too. People would look at me like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Well, I have Irish blood. And guess what? The Irish were not treated very well when roughly, when the country was founded and around there. But guess what? I highly doubt that any of my Irish blood comes from people who were slaves or were indentured servants. Let's put it that way. And thus, if I were to say my people, that would be, to me, that would seem it would be disingenuous, because I've never been a slave. Never have. Never have. I've never been owned. No one's ever owned me. I've never owned anyone. Thus, anyway. But I taking Shermichael's point instead of his words, let's just do it that way. A lot of the black population that was brought over to the United States was done against their will, by force, by the way, other black people who had captured them and enslaved them and then put them on ships headed to the U.S. for money. Okay, that's one thing. The point Shermichael's making is that, hey, hold up. The people you're talking about, the illegal immigrants, they got up and decided to walk across the border and come into the country illegally. They made that choice. That's what they did. They didn't get held at gunpoint or put in shackles or forced to, come over here by another person. No, they made the choice to come here. In most cases. Now, there are exceptions, of course, to that rule. And so for Anna to say that is completely ridiculous. For Anna to say that it's the exact same thing or the even similar thing is stupid, to say the least. And she was rightly called out on that. And I'm glad she was. And then she starts going and talking about how she knows more about black history than Shermichael does, which is kind of like, that's why I laughed when he said, I'm actually black, you're not. So we want to talk about that. Let's go ahead and talk about it. And then the hostess, who, by the way, was also black, but was trying to be a mediator there, which is cool. That's what she's supposed to do, the presenter. She's trying to get him to calm down, and then Anna pops off again. And I'm going, dude. And so then they go to break. Now, I don't know what happened after this, whether they came back and they were still going at it, but I find it awesome, just hilarious and awesome at the same time, that you've got people at CNN now, you've got conservatives. Sorry, guys, for those of you watching, I keep stretching my back a little bit. It's because I'm a little sore. I was putting up a trampoline yesterday, believe it or not. Anyway, but I love that there's conservatives now at CNN, Shermichael and Scott Jennings, for example, who are not bending over and grabbing the ankles. They're not taking it anymore. They're pushing back, and in some cases pushing back hard, like in this case. They're not going through there and going and letting themselves be cut off or talked over. No. You know what? You're going to make that comment. You're going to defend it. And I absolutely love it. I think it's wonderful. I think it needs to be done more often. And not just on CNN or PMSNBC, ABC, CBS, whatever. It needs to be done as often as we can, because again, when you push back, the liberals are used to bullying us as conservatives. And when you push back on them and get them off balance, then it doesn't go so well. They can't handle that because they've never really had to defend their positions like we have. Thus, we usually have an advantage over them on that. Definitely. So anyway, I hope it keeps up. I really do. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find I had a better cut of this, and I'm not finding it, which is annoying. There it is. Okay. So this is, okay. Scott Wiener is a California state senator. He is, let me put it this way. What he says and how he votes makes it seem like he's a pervert. I'm not saying he is a pervert, because that could be classified as defamation of character. But his actions and his words would certainly indicate that he's he's not all right. Let's put it that way. Let's listen to this. Now, this was posted by Shadow of Ezra, or is from Shadow of Ezra. And this is apparently a hearing that was going on. So let's go ahead and hear this, shall we?
that the sex offender registry contains a massive array of crimes, including, I don't know, having sex in a car or in a park. That gets you on the sex offender registry.
Yeah.
We also know that LGBTQ people have been massively and disproportionately targeted and subjected to being slammed onto the sex offender registry. That's the whole history.
Okay, so, and I actually, it's funny. The reason why this is on there is because, unfortunately, a lot of times when these same-sex attracted individuals hook up, it is in more public places. Not all the time, obviously, but a higher percentage than, say, straight people. And I actually asked a same-sex attracted friend of mine about this. You know, why is this? This is it brings such a negative look to that community. Why is that the case? And his explanation for it was that because they're, and this is what he said, not what I don't know that I totally believe this, but I'm going to go with him on it. He has more experience, obviously, than I do, being that he is same-sex attracted. But his thing is because there are the community, that the same-sex attracted community is so in the shadows, even now, right? Even now, when it's been, for better or worse, mainstreamed, in some degrees it's better. And then in some degrees where it's taken to the extreme, it's much worse. But anyway, it has been mainstreamed. Even still, there's a lot of, I don't want to call it being closeted, but it's a lot of, they're in the shadows. And so when the opportunity arises to be involved with someone in a more physical sense, there's often a lack of thought that goes into, well, is this the appropriate time and place? It's just, okay, now. So when he talks about how there's a disproportionate number on there, yes, because a large amount of the public lewdness, I guess you could call it, is on that side of the coin. So I find that argument a little bit disingenuous and he knows this. Here's the thing. Wiener knows this. He does. And for him to act like this was something, targeted, well, it's not. But let's listen to the rest of this here.
Of the sex offender registry. So this aspect of the bill is incredibly overbroad and discriminatory. We know that
incredibly overbroad and discriminatory. Now, so that's one example. Why would you not want to have a sex offender registry? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, if you look at the rest of Scott's stuff, he is very much in favor of, I wouldn't necessarily say pedophilia, but he is certainly not opposed to underage kids being groomed, shall we say? Anyway, this is a tweet he had on Blue Sky. Sending an 18-year-old high school senior to state prison for offering his 17-year-old classmate $20 to fool around isn't smart criminal justice policy. Yet that's what some people are effectively advocating in this misleading debate. No, Scott, that is that's a crime. Why on earth? And again, he has done everything he can to prevent anti-pedophilia legislation from going through. And of course, at some point you have to ask why. I don't know the answer. All I can say is based on, like we were saying, based on his actions, meaning his voting record, and his words, it seems that he is okay with grooming. He is okay with pedophilia, and he would actually like to see it mainstreamed. He would actually like to see NAMBLA and other messed up organizations like that made commonplace. For those of you who don't know, NAMBLA means the National Man Boy Love Association or something like that. It's basically, it's a same-sex attracted pedophilia group, which of course is stomach turning in my opinion. So again, I don't understand that, and I don't understand why anybody would be okay with that. But again, here we are. All right, let's take a quick music break, and we will be back in just a second because, frankly, I need to cleanse my palate a little bit after that. So let's go ahead and do that right now, and we will be right back. Back at it for segment 1 of the Chris Richman Show. That topic was pretty heavy, wasn't it? No doubt about it. It's, yeah. There's some weird folk out there. No question about it. So, okay. Let's see here. Speaking of people who are really, really, really dumb, let's go ahead and listen to, by the way, does anybody understand this whole Cinco de Mayo thing? By the way, happy Cinco de Mayo, if that's something you do. I don't quite understand it, but whatever. What is going on? This is clearly an organized, an organized effort here. You have black people saying, "Oh, I better not see anybody, that's a MAGA person celebrating Cinco de Mayo. That's just wrong." And now there's a white woman talking about it. I've seen some white people talking about, "Well, MAGA better not celebrate Cinco de Mayo. That's just messed up." Okay. What's bringing this on? I'm curious. Now, this gal, I'm not going to play this soundbite because there's a bunch of swearing in it, a bunch of F words. If you voted for that effing orangutan, I don't want to see a margarita in your hand for days. I don't want to see chips and queso at your table, and it better be May the 5th for you, and nothing else since you'd want to speak English so effing bad. Okay, and? So I guess my thing would be this. Bring it. I don't know. I will celebrate the holidays I wish to celebrate when I wish to celebrate them, or rather on the days, as long as I'm not hurting you or anybody, next to you physically, mentally, whatever. Grow up, essentially. I don't get this. I really don't understand what this is supposed to do. If this is a liberal thing that's supposed to be reaching out to the Hispanic community, you failed. Frankly, you failed miserably. I don't see how you would even get that. Seriously, I don't understand. If it's because of trying to deport illegal immigrants, and, President Obama wanted to do that. President Obama deported more illegal immigrants than President Trump has. I didn't see this stuff when Obama was in office. So why are we doing it now? Of course, the answer is because Trump's a Republican and Obama's was a Democrat. Same thing with plugs. Although plugs didn't, plugs just opened the gates, honestly. So again, I'm not quite understanding this, to say the least. All right. Another thing real quick that the liberals are having a cow on is Marco Rubio, again, having 4 roles in the administration right now. They are having a cow about that. They can't believe that, that Marco Rubio, one person would be allowed or able to do 4 roles. I honestly think Trump is doing this on purpose. I do. I have come to that conclusion simply because, and this is from Rolling Stone, by the way, there's no way he could carry all that entire load on his own, Senator Tammy Duckworth said of Rubio occupying multiple jobs in the executive branch. Here's the thing. If you are an effective leader, okay, and I'm going to use Sam Walton as an example here. Sam Walton once said one of the reasons why he was an effective leader and why he was able to build Walmart into the power of the house that it is now is because he was a delegator. He knew how to delegate. You know, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I can do, or here's what I want to do, but, you know, I have to do this myself. Here's what I want to do, but I can have a high performer do this. You know, this is someone I can, you know, so scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least effective, 5 being the most. This is something I could pass off to a level 5 performer. Here's something I want to get done, but I can have a level 4 performer execute this. This is something I want to get done. I can have a level 1 person execute this. This is a simple task. It's taking up more of my time than I need to. I'm going to delegate it. So this is the thing. And this is something that perhaps Rubio is very, very good at. If that's the case, I can see why he's doing so well. Because a lot of people had a lot of questions about Marco Rubio. When he ran in, 2010, as part of the Tea Party freshman class, I guess you could call him, came in guns a-blazing as a conservative. Kind of has wobbled on that several times, but if it's one of those things where he is in his prime right now because he's got a good team, he knows he can delegate this, and this, and this, and this, why wouldn't you? That's a guy who could wear all these hats. If you've got good people working for you, if you appreciate them, if you if they are loyal to you because they know, you know, you will take care of them, you'll hold them accountable if they don't achieve what you want them to achieve. But if they do, you will elevate them. You'll applaud them. You will, you know, give them the glory, so to speak. Why not utilize that talent? You're developing the next generation of talent, perhaps. Why wouldn't you do that? It's kind of like President Trump with J.D. Vance. And Rubio to a degree. By doing this, you know, both of these guys are fairly young. Rubio, I think, is a year or two younger than me. And so is Vance, now that I think about it. Vance is a couple years younger, I guess. But the point is this is the next generation. You know, it's possible we could be skipping completely over the baby boom generation. 100%. Skipping right over them and going straight into Generation X. You know, and in the case of J.D. Vance, you're actually skipping over Generation X too, and you're going into Gen Y. I refuse to call it millennial because, frankly, to me, that's a whole different deal. But if you can get these good people in there, you know, Ted Cruz is another one. Maybe. But with Rubio, you know, I don't know. He's the acting administrator for USAID. Okay, great. Again, find who can get things done, who you trust to do things right. Okay, here's what I need you to do. I'll take care of this stuff. I need you to do this. I need you to report back to me. I need you to follow up on these things for me. Get back to me. Do this well. I'll make it worth your while. You know, screw it up, I'm going to be on your case. You know, that sort of thing. I'm not saying that's how the conversation goes, but I don't know. The liberals are having a cow about this, but again, he doesn't seem to have any complaints about it. And I'm willing to bet it's going to operate pretty damn well because, again, he seems like the type of person who can GSD. If you don't know what GSD means, get stuff done. Usually it's not stuff, but Marco seems like a GSD guy. And honestly, same thing with J.D. Vance. You get GSD people in your orbit, pretty soon things get done. Stuff gets done, right? We'll see. All right. Where was that on here? We may have to come back to that. Anywho, I did have that on there twice. Okay, cool. All right. So I want to, I hadn't planned on touching this story. I really hadn't. But I might as well. Okay, so this is from Fox News. So-called transgender swimmer wins 5 Olympic gold medals at championship meet in Texas. Let's go ahead and read this. The controversy prompted backlash on social media. You don't say. Shocker. A so-called transgender swimmer won 5 women's races at the U.S. Masters Swimming Spring National Championship last weekend. The swimmer, 47-year-old, this isn't the person's name, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, Ana Caldas, dominated all 5 races now that's brilliant. The athlete competed in. I love that. That's fantastic. I love that. Taking gold in the women's 45 to 90 category in 5 races, including the 500 and 100 breaststroke, freestyle, and the 100-yard individual medley. The controversy prompted backlash on social media. Libs of TikTok. You got to love Chaya. You know she was going to chime in on this. Ana Caldas, a man pretending to be a woman, recently won all 5 races he entered. Good honor for saying he entered in the women's division, emphasis put on women, division for the U.S. Masters Swimming Spring National Championship in Texas. Insanity. Now, if you look at a picture of this person, I don't see an Adam's apple. They have had chest augmentation, apparently, but you look at the build. They are now you could say, well, women are built like that too. Yeah, but you can tell this is a guy. And of course, the big giveaway is the jawline. The jawline is extremely masculine still. Anyway, U.S. Masters Swimming has provided a statement to Fox News Digital addressing the controversy. USMS, here's the statement. USMS is aware of allegations regarding the eligibility of a swimmer who competed at our Spring National Championship. We have received an eligibility review request, and will follow our formal process to make a determination, the statement read. USMS exists to empower adults to improve their lives through swimming. The health and fitness benefits of swimming are the primary focus of that mission, but we also strive to create a community that values fairness, competition, and inclusion. Fairness? Really? We'll come back to that. In that spirit, USMS has had a long-standing policy on so-called transgender swimmers that was created and periodically reviewed and updated by relevant member committees with input from subject matter experts. I highly doubt that. This policy includes procedures to address questions of eligibility. And then that's the end of that statement. The U.S. Masters Swimming's gender eligibility policy allows so-called transgender swimmers to participate in the gender competition category in which they identify, and they may also be recognized for accomplishments granted certain conditions are met. Oh boy. So they value fairness, but they're going to allow men to compete in women's competitions. They value competition, but they're going to allow men to compete in women's competitions. They value inclusion. Really? So if a woman wants to compete in a men's competition, I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem with that. Now, for fairness, though, are they going to make the men swim one-handed? Or are they going to have the men perhaps, and I don't know, maybe, are they going to have the men perhaps have a massive delay? Are they going to give the female competitor a massive head start? Because that's fair. Because the women swimmers don't have some of the natural advantages that men have. We are slimmer of waist, for example. We, meaning males, are slimmer of waist. So we have less aerodynamic drag, or hydraulic drag, I guess you could say. We don't have breast tissue, okay? Not to the degree that women do. Now, I know you're probably saying, hey, fatso, meaning me. Hey, fatso, really? You don't? Yeah, enough. I'm talking about swimming athletes, elite level swimmers, not me. Okay. I'm a little overweight. So yeah, you might say, hey, Mooby, what's up? Whatever. All things being equal. Okay. We have denser muscling. We have, again, all things being equal, our muscles are denser. We have a higher percentage of fast twitch muscle. We have more lung capacity. You see where this is going. There's a natural inherent disadvantage women have when it comes to this. So it cracks me up for this so-called, I don't know what it is, organization to say that they value fairness, competition, and inclusion. Because I guarantee you, if the shoe was put on the other foot and a female competed in the men's competition and demanded because of fairness and competition. Now you understand, right? Demanded that the men be held back for, 45 seconds or whatever it is, depending on the amount of time, a number of laps, that kind of thing. I have a feeling they would say, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And rightly so. Anyway, so they talked about granted certain conditions are met. Well, what are those conditions? Well, one of those conditions requires that, quote, a hormone therapy appropriate for the female gender has been administered continuously and uninterrupted in a verifiable manner for a sufficient length of time, no less than 1 year, to minimize gender-related advantages in sports competitions and subsequent proof of low enough testosterone levels. Great. Here's the thing. Lifting weights makes testosterone. And here's the thing. The other stuff is not necessarily affected by that. So if you're already a dude, okay, and you start taking, chemical mutilations to yourself, I don't care how long it's been, you're still going to have an advantage. In June 2023, Texas passed the Save Women's Sports Act, which bans so-called trans athletes from competing in girls and women's sports and only allows students to compete in the gender category listed on their birth certificate. The law only allows schools to recognize changes made to birth certificates that were made to correct a clerical error. Okay. So that makes sense, I guess. And just last week, the Texas Senate passed the Texas Women's Privacy Act by a vote of 20-11. The bill ensures that women are safe in their bathrooms, locker rooms, and showers in domestic abuse shelters. President Donald Trump has had an executive order in place since February 5th that requires publicly funded institutions to ban so-called trans athletes from women's and girls' sports. Now, by that, of course, they mean men. The topic of so-called trans competitors in women's swimming specifically became a national controversy in 2022 when former University of Pennsylvania swimmer Will Thomas, who started identifying as Leah, who previously competed for the school's men's swimming team, represented the school at the NCAA championships after supposedly transitioning to the women's category. UPenn and the NCAA are facing lawsuits over Thomas's participation in women's swimming, and the Trump administration has frozen funding to UPenn and declared it has violated Title IX. Absolutely. So, as much as to me, this is just silly. Absolutely silly. It's insane that people honestly think that it's right or fair to allow men to compete against women in sporting events. Like I used to kind of going alongside this, I guess, after the 2019 Women's World Cup and after the piss poor performance, not even qualifying for the 2018 World Cup by the U.S. men's national team, soccer team, football we should call it. But after the 2019 World Cup where the women won, my thought was, gosh, I wonder what would happen if the U.S. women's national team played the men's team. Now, of course, as much as I hate to say it, even though the women's team performed far better in their competition, they would not beat the men's team. It would be a butt kicking, as much as I hate to say that. And I do. But again, men have inherent advantages when it comes to physical activities, like sports, over women. It's just the way it is. That goes back till since we were, first standing upright and, whacking things over the head with a club. But, and again, that's not to say bad about women. Not at all. Not at all. But it is what it is. I'm just saying. So now on the other side of this coin, where we actually have legit records being set, let's go to that. Katie Ledecky, who is an amazing swimmer. I am astonished by this woman's performances. She is staggeringly good. Team USA posted this video. So Katie Ledecky, this is from The Athletic. Katie Ledecky breaks her 9-year-old world record in 800-meter freestyle. The world record in the women's 800-meter freestyle has been untouchable for nearly 9 years since Katie Ledecky swam it in 8:04.79 at the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. No one had come within 2 seconds of that time since. That all changed Saturday, and Ledecky, naturally, was the one to do it. The American swimming legend broke her own record in the event at the TYR Pro Series in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, finishing in 8:04.12. So almost over a half second, to beat her previous unmatchable time by over a half second, highlighting a day of multiple world records at South Florida. That's just staggering. I mean, good grief. She has the 10 fastest times in this event. 10, the top 10 are all her. I mean, she's the Michael Phelps of women's swimming, essentially. That is just mental. Let's hear what this sounded like.
11 years later, and she's under world record pace. Get to your feet. Bring her home.
This is a tweet put up by Team USA on X.
Katie Ledecky, 15 meters.
And she is pulling
We're
hard.
looking for an 8:04.79 world
She did it. That is staggering. I mean, it's amazing to see it, but gosh, you watch it and you get goosebumps. That is absolutely, completely nuts. The gal is just unbelievable. I'm in awe. And the thing is she's pulling hard, right? You can see her, that she's pushing, but it doesn't look like she's pushing. It doesn't even look like she's really trying that hard. Honestly. I mean, she's pulling for everything she's worth, I'm sure. But it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like she's swimming. You expect to see but that's not the fastest way to swim. I'm in awe. These people who can do this, Phelps, Mark Spitz back in the day, Katie Ledecky, these people just, it is unbelievable to me, these athletes, that they can do this. It just knocks me out, man. It's crazy. And, her rival is a gal named Summer McIntosh, who is also a fantastic swimmer, but she's just not, she's good, but she's not quite at that level. Oh man, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And the funny thing is that's not even her best event. I'm reading down further on this as we're talking. Starting with the Tokyo Games, a 1,500 meter race has been on the women's program. That's Ledecky's best event. Okay, are you ready for this? Now, I already told you she has the 10 fastest times in the 800 meters, right? So basically half mile. So 1,500 meters, that's a mile. Okay, you ready for this? That's Ledecky's best event. She has the 22 fastest times ever in it. and has cruised to gold medals in each of the last 2 Olympics. And she'll be 31. She's 28 right now. She'll be 31 when Los Angeles gets the Olympics in 28. I am, my gosh. And then another American, Gretchen Walsh. They're going on talking about this. Also reset her own world record Saturday in the 100-meter butterfly. Twice. The 22-year-old swam 55:09 in the prelims, okay? And the prelims, and that beat her record by 900ths. The previous record was 55:18. And then in the actual competition, so 55:09 is stupid fast, right? In the actual competition, yeah, she dropped a 54:60. 49 hundredths faster. A half a second she knocked off of it. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's absolutely insane. How? But the point of illustrating this is, what's the men's record? Okay. You cannot deny that Ledecky and this Walsh woman, these 2 American gals, Gretchen Walsh and Katie Ledecky, that they are unbelievable swimmers. Unbelievable swimmers. Okay? By far like Ledecky, you can't argue that she's the greatest female swimmer out there. You can't. Not when it comes to those 2 events, especially the 1500 meters. No way. But let's see here. Hold on. So Phelps is, by the way, the most decorated medalist of all time. Let me see here. Come on. I want to see, darn it. Part of that too is he's 6'4". The dude is super tall. 800 meter. What was the one? 800 meter freestyle. 800 meter freestyle. Okay, here we go. So there's Katie Ledecky. But I want to see, because I'm honestly curious. Where is it? So she's 6 foot. Katie Ledecky is, which is pretty tall for a woman, honestly. Okay, 800 meter freestyle. But I want. Okay, they don't even show a men's race. Let's just do this. Let's do 1500 to 1500. Okay, 1500. Blah 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 blah. 1500 men's freestyle doesn't show. Here, let's do this. We'll ask Grok. How about that? We'll ask Grok. Grok will know. Good morning. By the way, I laughed. For those of you who wonder, I always say good morning to Grok, chat, whatever it is. Who has the record? Let's see here. 800 meter swim or freestyle. Okay, so let's see what Grok says here. Okay, the current record holder for the men's 800 meter freestyle swimming event in long course, which I guess is the 50 meter pool. Oh, wow. Okay, so this was set in the World Championship in Rome back in 2009. Okay, so let's look at Ledecky's time, okay? Let's see here. So Katie Ledecky pulled an 8:04.12, right? That's fast. We've acknowledged that. She has the top 10 times in the 800 meters. Okay. Very fast. Here's the thing. And it doesn't say how long this pool is. I'm guessing it is a 50-meter pool, judging by the way it looked. So the long course, 50-meter pool, the time is 7:32:12. So that is over a half a minute faster. Okay. The short course, 25-meter pool, that's a 25-meter pool, 7:20:46. And that was at the European Short Course Championships in Romania. So that just goes to show you guys. I mean, again, no one who has half a brain whatsoever will argue that Katie Ledecky is the GOAT of the 800 and the 1500 when it comes to swimming. No one. When it comes to women's swimming, no one even comes close. But her time, compared to the men's, not even close. Not even in the ballpark. Not even in the ballpark. So why would we think it's a good idea for men to compete against women? Why would we do that? Why would we think that's the right thing to do? Why would anybody think that's the right thing to do? Why would anybody think that's the right thing for our female athletes, be it, girls, high school and below, or women's college and above? Why would we think that's the right thing to do? It's absolutely idiotic, and I don't understand it. I can't. There's no way I could see any logical way to defend that. Doesn't matter whether they identify as a male or as a woman. They are not a woman, or a woman rather. They are not women. They could never be a woman. They can't. You cannot mutilate yourself or enough to be a woman. All right, guys. This has been the first segment of the Chris Richman Show for Monday, Cinco de Mayo, 2025. Hope you had fun on this segment. We'll be back with the second segment here in a bit. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you on the other side.